For our regular meeting of the City Commission, today is January 28th, 2026. It is now exactly 4 p.m. We're ready to proceed. Ms. Torres, would you take roll, please?
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Present.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell. Here. Honorable Amanda Forster.
Here.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Yep.
Honorable Charles Klein.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Please join me in 15 seconds of silent meditation. Okay, for the Pledge of Allegiance, someone return the favor. Mr. Paxton, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Any changes?
Sir.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for our Wednesday, January 28th, 2026 meeting at 4 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a second? Doris, I have a motion and a second. Please take roll.
Honorable Charles Klein.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Let's move on to commission comments. Any commissioners have any comments, any announcements they wish to make?
I just welcomed a new nephew into the world.
That's important. Congratulations, Auntie. All right, I have one announcement to make. It looks like we're going to have a group of us going to the Municipal League next week. Municipal League is going to meet on Wednesday, February 4th for registration, and on Thursday, February 5th for the programming. And so we'll have to make arrangements to go. We'll have 2 city vehicles. We'll split up accordingly. And it looks like, and Gary, what time did we have that meeting with the governor?
I think we landed at 2:30.
At 2:30. So
2:30 on.
so it's exciting. I've had a chance to meet the governor for a couple of years. We ran into some good luck, and I'm thinking that we have an audience with her at 2:30 on the 5th. So we'll break off and do that and advocate for the city. Maybe we'll have some luck. I think that's the only announcement that I have. Jay, do you have any announcements or any comments?
Not off the top of my head, no, I don't think so. Thank you.
Manager Whitehead, anything you want to?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commission. Just a couple of quick updates. First of all, again, just to remind everybody, our first water project is under construction. JH Construction Company are moving at a very rapid pace. They're over on 8th Street, just doing a really good job. And just wanted, we did have a water line break kind of the first day of construction, and it was an unfortunate situation. So we've been managing that. We've gone out and identified all the valves along that corridor so that we can respond faster. We've done a test ourselves of the school, so we know we can shut the valve off at the top of Silver Street and still maintain pressure at the school. And then last week we hosted a meeting with the contractor. We brought the schools in. We've all put together, and so we have a plan going forward. We'll be communicating a little better with the residents along each of the locations of that, and then working directly with the schools so that if we do need to shut water off, they have the opportunity to adjust their schedule. And then they've agreed to, not be in such a hurry to shut school down, give us a minute to kind of, isolate the problem and see if we can't get it put in order. So again, just working as diligently as we can to try to make this work. If, hopefully it continues like it has though this week and last week where we just didn't have any problems. But they're going to be in those areas, quite a while. They're putting the first line in. They got to come back and adjust valves. So it's quite a bit of work there. So, and Foch Street's moving along pretty well. Just we're running into, right now we're at the unforeseen. They're running the ditches on both sides, and we found a lot of sewer lines and water lines. A lot of those water lines are not active, but we have run into some of the water lines that were hit that we added from the MSD project. So typical stuff that goes on with the road that's been around that long. And so just let we're working diligently, trying to stay on the path on a daily basis to make sure, that the people do have access where we've said we would. So, and then the last point, what I want to bring to you today on your agenda, you have a purchase order adjustment that we're going to make for Wilson and Company to do with the shovel-ready project that we're underway right now. We'll wait till that comes up. But part two, for the critical water project, back in 2022, the city approved a contract with Wilson to do all the design work for the 36,600 linear feet. All the water lines in that area are being improved. The first portion of that contract was paid for to Wilson from an agreement that we had from Martin Heinrich, a contract of $1.6 million. We have exhausted the funds on that particular set of funding, and now we need to move into the critical water application to get the next set of funds. So there will be a change, not in scope, not in work, not in process from what was originally agreed, but we're upping the PO. It has to go up 1.4 million for the remaining design, construction management, everything that goes on with the critical water line project. So we just wanted to update you. The purchase order has already been let. The contract was approved. Money to finish out that contract that we have on that project. So I'll stand for any questions on that.
Thank you for that clarification. I was a little confused earlier, but you straightened me up. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions or concerns?
The original project, just to remind you, was estimated at about $21 million to do that part of town. We have it's just under 18 million. But what's good about it, right, is we're paying for the full design of it. And it looks like based on the quotes that the 17 million that we have should complete the project. So it would be a high estimate given to us in 2022, 2021. At that time, the prices are coming in line. So we still feel like we're going to get the full project.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to consent calendar, which consists of item 1, second quarter sub-recipient reports, and item number 2, purchase report of requisitions between 20,000 and under 60,000.
I think it's always good to point out that when the purchase report, there's a list contained in the packet. There's 3 items in the list. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no confusion.
Right. Do we have any concerns or questions concerning the consent calendar? Can I ask for one change, please? And that is on item number 2, purchase reports. No, this is the one for the other one. It's just looking at the actual document was just disappearing. Would you go back down to the spelling of my name and correct that, please?
Ralph.
Wow.
Lord.
Needy.
I know. Not that I'm going to sign it, but
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the changing of our mayor's to the correct spelling. So thank you.
And I'll second that.
Honorable Amanda Forster,
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hessler,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell,
Aye.
Honorable Charles Glenn, Honorable Ingo Hopkins.
Item D, ordinances, resolution, and zoning. Item number 1, discussion action. Resolution number 33, 2526, execution of contracts, grant agreements, memoranda of understanding, joint powers agreements, settlement agreements, and purchases. City Manager Whitehead, you're up, sir.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission. This is an annual document that the commission would look at. These are the authorities that you grant to me and to the staff to be able to do the work that we do on a daily basis. We did make a few changes to the document, primarily to follow in the process. What we've been trying to do this year is streamline our requests. So we're not getting a grant application, a grant approval, a budget adjustment, and you're seeing the items 4 times. We'll be coming to you basically and saying, we'd like to apply for this grant, and we would like the authority to fulfill all the obligations administratively to complete that grant. So if as a commission, you think that's the right grant, or we're in the right program to apply for, once you grant us that authority to move forward, this document would just allow us to do so. In the last commission, the beginning of last year, the commission made an independent change to grant the manager the authority to approve purchase orders from 20 to 60. And we just cleaned it up and put it in this document. So again, basically saying these are all the additional functions the commission is granting to the administration. And with that, I'll stand for questions. And I think the attorney has a couple of revisions we'd like to do.
Sure. After this document is placed in your folder, Mr. Whitehead and I did get together, and I want to suggest 3 minor changes, if I might. Everybody's ready? Okay. On second page, paragraph 2, the last sentence reads, the city manager shall present all documents utilized for procurement to the city commission for review, and the word they use there has concurrence. We want to change that to acknowledgement. That way it's not, we don't want to have a difficult situation where the city manager has already entered into a contract, and then after it's done, then we would seek concurrence. That would defeat the purpose of paragraph 2. So it says say concurrence, but say acknowledgement. On paragraph 9, where it reads the city manager may prepare, submit applications, and accept grants, we want to change accept to process grants. That would give the city manager, again, the ability to go ahead and do what he needs to submit the applications and whatever, but we want to make it clear that we come back to you to actually approve the grants. And then consistent with that, on paragraph 13, you have a sentence that which is fine, but we want to say, we want to add the phrase where it says to secure grant funding, let's say after approval by the city commission. So, you would be giving the approval, and then Mr. Whitehead would then do his duties. So those are my suggested changes.
But those changes are not in our document.
No.
No, right. So I'm suggesting, I think you could vote on this resolution with the changes that I've just articulated.
Okay.
And Mayor Pro Tem, I'd also point out on 13 particularly, it doesn't only authorize me, because many times the chief elected official is on that document for signature. So once the process is done and approved, you would give either myself or the mayor the authority then to sign those documents. And then the other item that we had to change in here, we added was the ability to use electronic signature, because that's become the norm. That's really incredible. We get contract on Tuesday and they want it executed by Friday. Once it's, we've approved it and it's gone through the process. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. We have any discussions?
I think it's just keeping up with the times and staying relevant on what needs to happen. So
Agreed. Anything further?
No, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 33/25/26 on
With the
with
changes.
the changes to the attorney name.
Thank you. You have a second?
Yeah, thanks. I still feel uncomfortable with here going from the 20,000 to 60,000. And it's just here that we were it in Santa Fe, and when they said here that it's unusual, is that we did that as a city, and here that the only thing what they recommended or said to me was pretty much that know where the money is spent and where it's going, and here be informed at all times. And that is, and I heard so many times in the last 2 years that we always did it like that. So it was 20,000 the entire time. We always did it like that, and now we want to change that to, of course, here to make more fluent, quicker process of everything. But I think here that we, the city commission, should be involved in the bigger decisions. And I understand that here with case to case, especially when it comes to emergencies, here we are reachable. We can be here, and I think here that our voters here can or would like to know what is the money spent on. And so I thought here it was always good to know at least. Like we were never saying, oh no, you can't buy that or you can't do that. So now here we really want to just hear that everybody is informed. And here that I have a problem just here with going from 20 to the 60,000.
Yeah, and you do remember that our agreement before was that we would give that authority to the city manager, but that he would inform us what he did during the next commission and our consent calendar.
Which is
So-
what you-
And it used to be, I've been here for a minute, so it used to be 60. A city manager prior to this wanted it at 20, so that he wanted us to have more say in that.
Oversight.
But legally, we can move it back to the 60 But these are already budgeted items, right? It's not on anything that we haven't already approved.
Correct.
So these are already items that we have already budgeted, we've already approved, and we will still get to see what those are spent on. We just aren't voting on that at that moment. It will still be in the consent calendar as something.
Yeah, but when it is in the consent calendar, though, so it's, everything's done.
You can pull anything out of the consent calendar to vote on it. But yeah, it's already gonna be done because we've already
Yeah,
budgeted the items.
Okay, so
We do have a
let's
motion.
get back. Yeah, we do have a motion on the table. So do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, Ms. Torres.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Charles Klein.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Esper.
I say for the moment, no.
Motion carries 4-1.
It's just,
That's okay.
Item D, discussion action, approval of resolution number 34, 2526, and MOU authorizing ongoing scheduled use of the Adobe Hills Shooting Range by Rio Vaqueros Incorporated. City Manager Whitehead.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, thank you for the opportunity to present this. County Commissioner and Mr. Paxton came to see me and indicated that there was a kind of a little misunderstanding at the shooting range between the parties. They had an event and it wasn't on the city's calendar. And so when we went back and kind of looked through it, there was an MOU that had been brought up a long time ago where the Rio Vaqueros, who are an organization that supports shooting events and education and all those items, would partner with the city to help make sure that the shooting range was open, accessible, clean, available, and do some of those services. That MOU never really made it through the process. And so what we did is kind of went back, Jay was able to find this and provide it. So we kind of cleaned it up, modernized it a little bit, and put together the MOU, which basically says with the Rio Vaqueros, we're going to let them kind of be support, help us maintain, clean. They're going to do those things. And then kind of concrete those dates that they really want to use to do shooting events. Now, I'll let Mr. Paxton answer some more questions. He knows the range better than I do. But in all instances, the range would always be open to the public. He's indicated that when they shoot, they take one particular part of the course, and there's 8 or more ranges in other areas that are always open. So at no point would any member of the public ever be asked not to participate. Members of the public could actually come out and join their event and participate in an organized shooting event. And then secondarily, our police use this. They use it for all act. And so this wouldn't change anything that our law enforcement community would do out there either. So with that, I would ask that maybe Mr. Paxton be allowed to comment, and the staff kind of supports approval of this.
Yes, sir. Mr. Paxton, welcome.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Good to see y'all. The shooting range was built in '92 with volunteer labor, and the city participated in that. State Parks did, Forest Service, county, and I don't remember who the other was, but it was all built with volunteer labor. And then the city was able to buy that 80 acres for $50 an acre in 2014. That is one of the silver gems that we have. We have a lot of snowbirds that come here year after year to shoot, to go out there and be members of our club for the time that they're here. And we have held regional type matches in the past. We don't have anything on the calendar now, but there are 4 days a month that we use the range with organized shooting matches. We had a situation, we were shooting on the rifle range, which is to the far, be to the east, and the 600-yard range. We were shooting 22s, and a man came up with his family, and he was pretty upset that we were using that range, and he wanted us to vacate it. And there's a 150-yard rifle range just to the west of that before the law enforcement range. And so we told him we'd be done in about 2 hours. And he said, well, you can't keep me from doing this. And he said he had checked with the clerk and there was nothing on the calendar. So we want to get these 4 dates on the calendar. They're standard every month. It's the 2nd and 4th Wednesday and the 2nd and 4th Saturday. And it's generally from 8 to noon. We set up, tear down. The Rio Vaqueros is a pretty small club. Without our winter visitors, we're about 25 members. With our winter visitors, we're about 60 members. And every time we shoot, we clean up. And it's everything from washing machines and TVs to chunks of concrete. It's just amazing. And in some of those cases, we need heavy equipment to move the debris. We have had annual cleanup days and coordinated with the city in the past, and we'd like to continue that. But it's a safe place to shoot. There's 8 pistol bays that excludes the law enforcement range. It's gated off. And 2 rifle ranges, a 150-yard range and a 650-yard range. So we get all kinds of compliments and letters telling us what a great facility it is and how people really enjoy using it. Gary and I talked, and the MOU will simply clean this thing up and continue on to the next generation of shooters. The other people that really use that range a lot is the 4-H shooters. I don't know what their schedule is, and we probably ought to coordinate with them because they do quite a bit of activities out there as well. And
We shoot on the law enforcement range.
okay,
We won't be in, but we're gonna ask, how old do you have to be to come be one of these members of your Rio Vaqueros?
we have one member that's 9 years old.
Cool.
And
Good to know.
they go through a little safety course, and we have safety range officers that are both NRA and United States Practical Shooting Association certified. So everything is done in a very safe manner, and everybody has fun at any skill level.
Good to know.
And the handgun matches are the third Saturday. No, the second Saturday, and they're from 8 to 12. And we love having newcomers and especially kids. We'll coach them as well as
That's
having
what I
them
was
on the
looking
course.
for.
Yeah, yeah. So we appreciate the commission considering this MOU, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. Any questions for Mr. Paxton?
You answered mine.
I would say, I think the interesting history about this, as you know, I had drawn up this MOU pretty much similar to what you have in front of us now. I think I drew this about 3 years ago. And what I remember was that the requirements that we put in here that Vaqueros was agreeing to actually came from Vaqueros. I think the things that you guys have suggested, it really wasn't even my thoughts, it was actually you guys. So,
We don't have any quarrel with it. It's just,
okay.
the gating and the locking of the range became untenable.
Right.
And there was a concern, and the chief might talk to, there was some extracurricular activities out there late at night that included bonfires and underage drinking. And I don't think there's any of that happening right now. I haven't seen any evidence of beer cans and bottles left behind. So I think that's kind of toned down, but it's in the deed that it has to be dedicated to a shooting range, open to the public. And I think that's a good thing. And I think TRC should be proud that we have that facility.
So I can assume that Vaqueros is familiar with the responsibilities set forth in the MOU, and you're okay with that?
We have a meeting
Okay.
tomorrow, and we will, if it's ready to approve, we'll approve it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paxton. I've enjoyed using that range many times, and it's a great asset to our community. So thank you for bringing this forward. With no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I do have a couple of points
Yes, sir.
I need,
Go ahead.
because we did come across one change today. And I would point out that, the streets department's worked out there this year with the police chief and has kept that up, and we'll continue doing that. But under the MOU, there's an item 2F talks about Vaqueros, and it said Vaqueros will maintain, and we added the line will assist, the city will assist the Vaqueros in maintaining the park. Okay. Also, it should be pointed out that in this particular case with the MOU, we're doing, the consideration is that they're going to clean and maintain the park for us at no cost to do those 4 events. We recognize that in the future, we may have other events. We may have other vendors that want to come and do events. So in the near future, I'll be bringing an updated resolution that talks about the fees that we charge at all items. So the MOU supports the 4 events and the Vaqueros providing cleaning and all those services in conjunction. So that those 2 points need to be, in the future, we could potentially be charging other folks for using the facility. And we could be charging the vaqueros for using the facility if it was a big event outside these four that we're concreting and locking for them.
Okay.
And I do think for any citizen that was disappointed, it's important that we have things on our calendar. And if they checked and it wasn't there, then, you know, we certainly weren't in the right to do that. So this cleans that up for everybody so that the public has good access to it.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehead. Okay, any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 3425/26, the MOU authorizing ongoing scheduled use of the shooting range by the vaqueros.
Suggest a change of paragraph 12.
Yes,
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
Okay,
I second.
a motion and a second, Ms. Doris.
Honorable Inga Hopner,
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Rob Pastor.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Charles Glenn.
Carries unanimously. Let's move on to item C3.
Be ready, you're gonna have some 4-H kids that's showing up.
Call it a fun sheet, for what it is.
Perfect.
And I have a sick dog, so if y'all will excuse me, I'm gonna head to the house.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Paxton.
Thank you.
Item B3, discussion action, resolution number 35/2526, establishing a cash transaction rounding policy in response to the cessation of circulating penny production while requiring that all non-cash transactions be accepted and processed to the exact penny. Mr. Whitehead.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission. This is one of the fun ones. This is good. We did some research. Obviously, everyone knows the penny is going to go out of circulation. It's not going to end at any one point. The resolution just really clarifies that if and when the city does not have a penny or pennies are not available, they'll have a process by which they could round up or down. Concept that we look for really works so that the writers of the policy really felt like over time it would balance out. The other thing it requires that we keep those records when we do so that we can report that to the auditor. It doesn't allow for rounding on any transaction that's not capped. So if you're paying by credit card, you'll pay the full amount. If you're paying by check, you'll pay the full amount. Debit card, all that. It's just for cash transactions when we get to that point.
But he wants to save a few cents, go pay in cash and be on the round downside.
Round downside, save 1 or 2 pennies.
We can just round everything up. That's
I haven't done the research yet, but I'm thinking this might be a time that the penny is actually worth more money to be recycled than it is as currency. But I'd have to do that research.
let us know what you find out.
Yeah,
I'm just curious what's gonna happen when the little kids come to the swimming pool with their bag of dollar pennies and try to get in, like, what do we do?
Well, you take them. I mean, it's still going to be a currency. It's just at some point we may not be able to get change at the bank. They may not service us, but I think
They can still pay in pennies.
Mhm.
You might not have pennies to give change.
maybe a collector's item at some point.
Right?
No, that's already. People vote of pennies. They sell for more what
Perfect.
it is.
Save your pennies, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Save your pennies.
Further discussion on the Penny Act.
I would like to
Make a motion.
make a motion to approve resolution number 35/2526 as presented.
If you do have a second,
That's it.
and motion is second, sorry.
Honorable Rob Pastor.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Charles Glenn.
Aye.
Honorable Inga Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, let's move on to new business. Item number E1. Presentation, discussion, action, Main Street Truth and Consequences Wayfinding Plan. Ms. Isa.
Right. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner, City Staff. I'm Becca Isa from Main Street TRC. And we're here this afternoon to present the final wayfinding plan. So just a little bit of background. We've been working on this project since September of 2024. At that point, I wrote a service request to New Mexico Main Street. So a little background for that. As a Main Street community, as part of the New Mexico Main Street network, we get these services from the revitalization specialists from New Mexico Main Street at no cost to us or to you guys or to the community. They're paid by New Mexico Main Street and the Economic Development Department. And so we have these folks that are able to help us in all different areas. And for this particular project, we asked for their help in developing a wayfinding plan. So signage to help people get around town. And the benefit for having them come in and help on this project is that they know the technical specifications and how to actually do a project like this. They've done several of these for other communities throughout the state. They know what to do to make it acceptable by the New Mexico DOT, and what we need to have in a plan like this to be able to actually manufacture and install signs. And so they're going to talk with you guys kind of a little bit about the process that we went through and what the final plan looks like. And then we ask that you consider voting to approve the plan. And this is not asking for any kind of financial obligation from the city. This is just your approval for it. And then Main Street will seek grant funding to actually produce these signs. So I'm going to turn this over to Amy Bell and Cam and Julia Wilde, and they're going to talk a little bit more about.
Mayor Pro Tem, commissioners, we're really at this point in this project. We've been here a couple of times before and shared information on progress of the plan. And yeah, it's really great to be at this point when the plan is all put together and I can just help Becca look for money. So quick summary of what has already been completed. We started the project by doing a sign inventory, understanding existing conditions. Had an initial public meeting to really hear from folks about what they think, TRC should get out of a wayfinding system, things that were important for us to know going into the process. We also had a survey, which helped inform the sign design. And Cam and Julia put together 3 really cool different sign design options, which we then had another survey to hear from folks about which sign or which parts of the sign they felt best achieved the goals of the wayfinding system. I think at that point we presented, I think at a couple of points here, we came and presented to the commission. Then after that second survey, we created a consolidated finalized sign design, and then put together a sign placement plan. We'll share some information on that. Had a public meeting before the holiday to present that information. And then also developed what's called design intent drawings. And so what those are, they're not full construction documents because different sign companies might have ideas for certain equipment or certain hardware that's going to be more cost effective for a situation. But we include all of the information in there that's going to make sure that those signs meet those DOT and MUTCD standards and achieve the goals of the design and the system. And then we also, the plan does include a full schedule of the different signs, the content of the signs, the location of the signs. And one cool thing that this plan has that our previous plans didn't have is we have those maps in print, but it's also all available with pictures of the sign locations and everything in a GIS map. So we've learned from some of our other projects ways to make it easier to communicate with a contractor and easier for all of us to get the project implemented. So it's exciting to include that in this plan. So just a quick reminder, our wayfinding systems, fairly simply, we want to connect people to places. We want to keep that system simple so it's easy for people to understand. It is an opportunity for us to celebrate identity and share information about a place with folks who may be new to the area or not from here. We want to support parking once and active transportation. So we'll see some diagrams here. Really, the goals of the system are to get visitors into town in their vehicle, park, and then walking. Because we know when people walk or bike, they have a better time and they spend more money, which we want to happen downtown. And we want the system to be accessible and equitable so that it is really welcoming and creates that sense that when we're in TRC, we are welcomed here, we're supposed to be here, and we feel comfortable doing a little bit of exploring. benefits of wayfinding, better distribution of traffic, better traffic flow, facilitation of multimodal transportation, again, biking, walking, supporting sense of place, sharing information about a place, creating that positive, memorable experience with a unifying brand, and overall improving connectivity. So just really helping everything feel better connected and closer together. This is a map of the key destinations that we developed with our project committee and members of the community. Quick note, these are all public destinations. We tend not to include private businesses because those can change. And we want these signs to be relevant and to last. And we also don't want to show preference to one business over another. Our main goals for the system, for TRC's system, which are different from other communities, are one, to encourage downtown exploration. So that's the little orange loop that you see in the middle. And then the blue lines kind of bringing folks into town, out of town. We want to highlight key civic destinations adjacent to that route. And I'm going to hand it over to one of you guys to talk about the sign design.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks for having us. I'm again Cam. Just call me Cam. So yeah, we went through several phases of design. One of our intents, we do projects like this across the state. We're pretty familiar, especially with Main Street communities, all 30 odd Main Street communities, and so we like to figure out a way to incorporate design in each city's wayfinding system that is unique to them. We try not to do the same thing twice. We don't have a template. We treat every city and town and village as its own entity and try to dig into their own individual identity and try to reflect that even in subtle ways. Ultimately, wayfinding signs are pretty boring because they need to be safe. There's all these DOT rules. Simple things that some folks don't think about is we avoid red signs. Why? Because stop signs are red. We don't want somebody to look out of the corner of their eye and see a sign going to the library that's bright red and all of a sudden slam on their brakes and then they get rear-ended, all this kind of stuff. So we really put a lot of restrictions on our own design language, and then try to find what are other cities not doing that's going to be unique to, in this case, Truth or Consequences. Celebrate the identity, celebrate the local culture. And as again, it's a little subtle by doing that, but just come up with a unique system that, I kind of joke, if someone knocked me over the head and put me in the trunk of a car and let me out in the middle of any city in New Mexico, I want to be able to know where I am right away just by seeing the signs and feeling that identity around us. Like Amy alluded to, over time, since wayfinding systems have become more unique to towns over the last 30 years or so, a lot of folks are finding, economic developers are finding that visitors feel safer of all things. They feel safer, they feel more comfortable in a city with a unique sign system that is unique to that city. They feel welcome. I always compare it to going to a party, and when you walk in and someone says the bathroom's down the hall, kitchen's over there, beer's out back, make yourself at home. That's what signs do. And when you go to a town that doesn't have good wayfinding, when you're visiting, and you kind of feel like, I don't know if they want me here or not. And so that's the kind of thing that we try to convey through positive signage, but also safe. And so, we went through quite a few different iterations, came up with a really cool, unique idea that I'm kicking myself because it's like, unfortunately, we try to be unique with every town and we can never use this idea again because it's going to be solely belonging to Truth or Consequences. And do we have that on the next?
Yeah.
Do we have more? Okay.
Oh,
Well, hang on.
well, so it's the topper.
So these toppers that you see that say Truth or Consequences on there, the idea, one of our bright ideas that because it's such a vibrant artistic community, we want to give Becca the opportunity, or whoever else may manage a program later on, is to have local artists create toppers that don't take away from the signs and don't distract, of course. You know, there'd be an approval process, but we had the ideas of a metal worker could do a 3D silhouette of mountains or turtleback mountain or whatever it may be, their quail, their local art, and put them on top of some of these signs as a unique representation of the local artists and folks in TRC. I mean, it could be a school project of kids' drawings and then get them printed on these toppers on there. They don't have to mean anything. It's just showing art along with the information that's needed. And then if you see at the bottom of the library sign, the city hall sign, we have a space for our pedestrians. Again, trying to encourage walking. These aren't these parts of the signs aren't really there for drivers to be able to read, obviously, but whenever the pedestrians are walking by, maybe some fun facts, you know, sitting down there. So we made this really modular system, a really simple but unique design language throughout these that we think is really going to be over time and can be built upon over the years, a really, really cool dynamic sign system. Something that I always stomp my feet that Amy again kind of alluded to is we try to leave a town with less signs than when we got here. So that's part of this plan, is being thoughtful about placement, about what, you know, using these as the tools that they are and not being redundant where we don't need to be redundant, and making suggestions on some signs to remove throughout town, whether it's due to damage or it's a redundancy or, you know, things like that. So something to keep in mind with these plans. Okay, out we go.
Just real
Is it-
quick, I want to
Yeah, go
add, the other cool unique thing about this system is the loop signs. So
Oh,
we
right.
see the shop and dine on the loop. And so very early on in the process, we established that a major goal was to encourage people to drive around. You know, we have the two, you know, main and Broadway, 2 one-way streets, but we want them to drive all the way around and not take the cross streets to cut through. And so these loop signs are placed all along the loop to encourage people, let them know, like, it's okay if you drive around a couple times. You know, hopefully you don't have to, because the parking sign should be obvious, but
And hopefully not drive the wrong way, but you know, we'll never have as many signs as we can. No, they'll still drive the wrong way occasionally.
yeah, and then these just so these were the main vehicular signs included in the system. This is monument signs. So we can also see the blue signs show where we would have signs where we saw the blue lines coming down, and then the orange and the brown signs would be within the downtown historic Hot Springs district. And so when we get into the Hot Springs district, we would have these monument signs at each entry location to designate that threshold. And then these are an additional fun, something we haven't done in other communities yet either.
Ingo, you want to talk on this? No. I'm kidding. I get inspired by you.
Well, and I think, you know, the toppers, like a lot of the really cool, unique stuff in this system was recommended or suggested by community members, which is super cool. Like, that's really fun when we get such great ideas and we're able to implement them. Do you want to talk about something?
Well, the idea was, with this, we were talking about more exploratory wayfinding, which exploratory wayfinding can be defined as wayfinding that's not too literal. It could be the flags hanging over the street. You know, it could be a mural. A good example we use in Taos. There's a little road that goes down to some museums that, you know, at the end of the road, you may not think there's anything down there, but there's this beautiful mural of horses running the way you should go. And you kind of like, oh, I'm going to follow those guys. And you kind of walk down and, oh, there's all of a sudden these museums and stuff. So one of the ideas for exploratory wayfinding are these stencils that can be stenciled onto the sidewalk or chalk or temporary, permanent, however, whatever program either Becca or anybody else may want to come up with of business designators of sorts, using the kind of the way for like the hot springs type of destination. And then the turtleback, which was Ingo's idea, the turtle being the art places, the galleries, the you know, things like that. Just an idea, there's nothing set in stone. We wouldn't dictate that, but it would be something that we can explore more and help advise on if Becca wants it, or she could come up with a brilliant idea herself. So, but yeah, we wanted to throw that out as a, you know, kind of supplementary things. We're always thinking about what can we do to encourage exploration other than signs. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the great thing about these is they don't, you know, we try, like Kim was saying, less signs, less stuff, less clutter in the street, because the more stuff there is, the less we look at it. So this is a way to add additional character without putting more stuff. Yeah. This is just an example of the design intent drawings. So, you know, folks can see that there is pretty detailed direction here in terms of dimensions, fonts, colors, and certain specifications for hardware, so that we know that, you know, these signs are going to be appropriate to be placed in the right of way. This is just proof that there is a very detailed sign schedule that has information on the location of the sign, the type of sign, the content of the sign, and any additional notes if it needs to be facing a certain direction, if it's double-sided. Details like that. And again, all of this in a GIS map where you can on the different locations of the signs, and it'll have all of those attributes, all of that information. But you know, it's nice to have it in other forms as well. So in the plan, this map just shows those different sign locations and basic information about them. We have 37 signs in total. This is kind of a breakdown of the different types of signs. I always like to be really careful, especially now, and like throwing costs out there. But I think that this number of signs, of these types of signs, based on what we're seeing with other projects, is very fundable with grants that are out there, whether they're Trails Plus grants or destination forward grants from tourism, T-Mobile,
yeah.
Yeah, and Main Street Capital Outlay does also support wayfinding implementation. So this is a very doable implementation without the city having to allocate funds to it. What's next? Hopefully adoption of the wayfinding plan, and like Becca said, that adoption makes it easier for her to go after grant funding, right? Because she's then able to say this is a plan that's been adopted by the city, and so funders aren't going to worry about there being arguments about it down the road.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure, yeah.
You're talking about adopting the plan. I thought what we were doing is actually just supporting the plan. That's what I thought the agenda request for. That's what there's a difference. That's the reason why I want to know. Because I mean, adopting the plan means we actually went through all of every page here and we agreed with all the details. But I thought all you went from us was a letter of support so you can get grant opportunities. So maybe I'm trying to clear that up.
I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know, Becca, if you want to speak to it, but.
I don't really know, you know, legally what we would need.
I mean, I would think that probably the letter of support would be enough if formal adoption creates a process that would be, you know, prohibitive.
For clarification though, this isn't like the final plan. It will change to some degree, right?
No, there was a draft plan that should have been included.
Right, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess if we adopt it, then our hands are kind of tied. So I'm thinking in our notes, we're supposed to support. So I'm thinking that's probably the direction.
That's what I thought. That's why I brought it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's why I asked if there's going to be any further change, it would make it easier. But
And I guess, you know, the issue then will be if we'll need to have a final plan when we pursue grant funding for it. So I don't know if it's something that the commission needs to look at more in depth and consider any changes that you guys might propose to it, or if it could be supported right now, and that would allow us to start pursuing grant funding, but then before we actually go through with implementing anything, that we would have a final plan that you.
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking.
I like.
I'm sorry, I know you're not, I apologize for that, but since you brought up adopting the plan, I thought it was a good time to ask, in a second, if you're done and then. Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I apologize for.
I mean, just like procedurally, you know, what could be considered the final plan might be like the shop drawings that the sign fabricator submits. Because I mean, really the plan is meant to be guidance, right? This plan establishes sort of the rules for this is what the signs are gonna look like. You know, but there's sort of a difference between what's kind of in the more general plan guidance and then what's in those design intent drawings, the sign schedule, and all of the sign content. Because you can always add signs, you know, or there might be something that between now and installation, something moves, you know, there's a new pool or, you know.
Yeah,
Hopefully-
it
hopefully
does
that's
seem
not
like
that
there would
long,
need to
but-
be changes up to the final point of manufacturing because of, like what you say, the different manufacturers might do things differently, so. It seems to me like we would be able to pursue grant funding for it and then use that funding to, you know, have the finalized plan and have that officially adopted at that
Yeah.
point.
I think that might be a logical step. I mean, we can support this plan, but that'll give you a starting point. And when you come
I
back to
think
us,
so.
we'll have this already.
And we've got X amount of money already to do, and then you look over this with a fine tooth comb and
I think part of the final plan should include some other things too. For instance, I'm interested in the construction of the signs themselves. And you know, I'm interested in which direction they're going to face. New Mexico Sun is notorious for damaging signs. They don't last very long. I'd like to know what the longevity of the signs may be. I'd like to know how to replace these signs, because if they're going to be so unique, how do we quickly replace them if something gets stolen or vandalized? And I, you know, I think those are all going to be part of a plan down the road, I would think, right?
Yeah, so, you know, the detailed information on the sign materials and the construction, again, that's outlined in those design intent drawings, but would be provided in the shop drawings that the fabricator is required to provide before they fabricate them. The other items, it raises a really important point, right? Which is not often included in these types of plans, is more of a maintenance and management plan. And so sort of understanding what are the practices and costs associated with keeping the sign system up.
And I guess, and just to give you a little context, I was part of a plan that bought similar signs for state parks, 35 state parks, well over $100,000 projects. The signs lasted about 5 years. That was a poor decision at the time. It's been a few years. I know things have changed. If we progressed, we're more modern. We have better materials now, I hope. But it's very critical to me that we get something that lasts for a long time and it's constructed well.
Yeah, so those signs that are in, really all of the signs are required to comply with the manual and uniform traffic control devices. And so those materials that go on the sign that, you know, have the colors and the text and everything, that has to be the same as the DOT signs that are out there. So they should last at least as long as those, but we know that those fade over time too,
Sure.
especially here.
Like somebody set fire to them and all that stuff.
It happens.
Yeah. And the plan is, I'll just add, the plan, once we get to that adoption stage, it's with the caveat that if there is a new library built, you can make an assign that, you know, you don't have, the plan isn't saying you have to do these things as far as the overall intent, you know, the overall placement and stuff. There may be shifts and all that stuff. So nothing's saying that if you adopt this plan, we have to put this sign here. We have to put that sign
you
here.
just have the guidance.
You just have the guidance and you're adopting the general language, the intent, the design, you know, things like that over time. And of course, you know, things will change up to the last minute. You know, when it comes to placement, we did something similar with TRC with Taos, and there were changes like right to the end because businesses or office would move or a new building would come up that they felt like was higher priority to get assigned funded to that building, you know, things like that. So.
Are they still presenting or? That's my question.
Yeah, please, ask more questions.
Yeah, I did not mean to curtail your presentation. You're feel free to proceed. I just, since you brought up that question, I figured now's a good time to ask instead of waiting until the end of the presentation, then I ask, so.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
absolutely.
We were conveniently at the
Okay.
Please continue with any questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any further questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about really getting citizens and the community involved. And you said you had like public meetings. Where were those held at?
So we had those meetings in the side room at the brewery.
The garden.
I think it was 2 or 3.
There were 3.
Four.
Was it 4?
Four, and several of them were twice in the same day, same
Okay.
meeting,
Oh.
2 different times.
Okay, that's
Right.
But four separate days, four
Yes,
separate times through the process.
And then on logo, like how did you guys come up with that part? I mean, more in depth of like, did we have any staff that got to have any input into that?
8, 7, no, not that long. I was thinking that time,
2021.
yeah, 2021, all of that was done, and way before the wayfinding plan was even, anything. And it was a similar process with community input and all that kind of stuff.
Committee.
And that logo has been used by the Lodgers Tax Board, so it is out there throughout the state on anything that Lodgers Tax Board is paying for marketing wise. And brochures and billboards and that kind of thing.
They replaced the terminology paid for in part by Lodgers Tax on all of our, anything we printed from Lodgers Tax. So as long as it had that logo, it was considered approved by Lodgers Tax.
And I know Mayor kind of was hitting on that, on who will be the ones to maintain these signs and things like that. Is that going to be a city thing, or is Main Street going to take lead on that, or what is that going to look like?
I would say
Sorry.
a collaboration.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully these signs will stay intact for a while. Certainly Main Street can pursue funding for, whatever needs to be done if things are vandalized, as we know, unfortunately happens here too often. We are absolutely, Main Street is willing to at least be a big part of that. We're not putting this all on the city to then forever in perpetuity maintain this. We'll partner on that.
Okay, thank you.
right. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say thank you for all your good work and traveling from Alamogordo, from Albuquerque to meet with us and to listen to the citizens and helping us, guide us. And it is always hard to pretty much verbally or just make an idea that okay, that is in your head. That is perfect idea. But then when you talk to the people, to have meetings and everything, then you find out, okay, we could change certain things. And here you are assistant with that. And here Main Street is doing a lot for our town. I would like to say thank you for that. And here it is always went down professionally. And I enjoyed coming to each one of them. and be part of all that. And that is what is being included. Pretty much that the community is included here in those decisions and not so in my head is that idea or that logo and I just preach it to you until you finally say, wow, that is great. So now you're really listening here to what some people have to say, show up for those things, it's implemented as such as well.
A lot of cool ideas came out of those meetings, not just from you. I mean, everybody had such good.
And cared, and it's nice to see a community that cares about their community. So
Exactly.
I do love wearing my shirt.
Looking forward to your votes. Yes.
And don't get us wrong, we think this is a wonderful program. I think it's needed for our community. We want it. We're trying to get some good guidance here and what we can do and how far we should go. And our recommendation is to support the plan and you know, if we vote that way, we will. But you know, we probably need, I don't know, one more presentation with some finalization. And then if we get that, I think we can, you know, and I don't want to hamper any efforts on your part to get money. So you'll have to advise us what we need to do down the road.
Sure, yeah. And it may be that we need just all of you to look through this plan with some more time to reflect on, you know, is there anything that you would ask us to change in it before we go forward? But also I can go ahead and look and see if we may be able to start applying for grants now without having 100% finalized plan, and then we'll come back to you guys.
So what is the recommendation that we support this plan and then let them go do funding, but this is not like set in stone or like what?
See, that means your needs as far as funding goes, if that's wrong enough terminology. If it's not, you know, we'll invite you to come back. I don't think we have to go through the whole presentation. It gives us a better chance to familiarize ourselves with it, and then we can move that next step.
Mayor, just add a couple of comments. I think, you know, first of all, just really be supportive of Main Street, right? We have a lot of momentum going with them. I mean, we have a road being built. It's through that process. Second part to bring to everyone's attention, similar to Foch Street, it's been 4 or 5 years this process has been going. So it's not unreasonable that we don't all know all the nuances of it. We're in a good spot. Working with Becca and the current board is really good. So staff will continue. You know, there are a couple of items that have kind of been addressed in how we identify what does this logo mean? What does that logo mean? How do we come up with a system across the board that takes care of that? And we're going to be continuing to mature that. So from administration, from our position, it would be really to support if you felt that was the right decision. Really, it's letter of support to allow them to continue to work on the process while we work in the back end to try to resolve some of these nuances that we need to, and then present that so that when you vote to accept this plan and put it into action, you're doing so with a little more information.
Okay.
Other than that, we support and certainly want to just really be supportive of Becca and Main Street and what we're doing. There's a lot of good things going on right now.
Sure.
We have a good partnership.
I think we're all in agreement here.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that. And there's no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to support the wayfinding plan.
I second. I second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Ms. Torres?
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Chaz Klein.
Aye.
Honorable Kendall Hoffner.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph
Aye.
Hoskins. Honorable Justin.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, folks.
Thanks very much. Nice.
All right, let's move on to item E. Is everybody doing okay, first of all?
I could use a break. Sorry.
It's now 5:02. Let's break for 5 minutes and we'll reconvene at about 5:10.
I wasn't gonna ask, but since it's
No.
great.